Hello and welcome to the SWBN News Watch, where we report global events from a Christian perspective. I am Chimela Chike. Thanks for joining us today. Now let's take a look at some of the major stories you need to hear about. In a new development, CBN News reported that Christians in Zambia, Africa, are celebrating the latest milestone in Bible translation, the creation of Bibles written in their native tongues. Wycliffe Associates led the Bible translation efforts. Wycliffe Associates is an organization that offers Bible translations in countless languages. Currently, over 5,000 people are working in Zambia to translate the Bible into 20 native languages. Bishop Henry Mumba, a pastor and church planter, is assisting church on translation work in Mumsa. He recalled how he heard his first Bible verse, John 3:16, when he was 19 years old. Mumba told CBN News in an interview that his pastor was a missionary from another country, and when they preached the gospel to me, quote, the first verse that I knew was John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
My pastor was a missionary from another country, Malawi, and he came into this town, and when they preached the gospel to me, the first verse that I knew was John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
Believers in Mansa, Zambia were reportedly dancing after they got to read and listen to the reading of the New Testament in Aoshi, their native language, for the first time. Describing the experience, Mumba said, quote, it's like God is speaking in our language, unquote. The bishop also shared that the Bible is the first written literature in the Aoshi language. In his words, we've never heard anything before. In addition to the Aoshi translation, the New Testament was translated into Ninja and Laya. On a similar note, Pastor Buster Paul Tembo of Livingstone explained that Zambia has 73 languages, but only 7 were considered official languages. Those were the only ones who had scripture translated. Tembo, who leads church-owned translation work in Livingstone, contended that Christians having access to the scriptures in their language makes a great spiritual impact in their lives. Moving forward, Morning Star News reported that suspected Fulani herdsmen killed a Christian security guard as they abducted a pastor in central Nigeria and wounded the church leader's wife. Area residents told Morning Star News that James Nyang, a member of the church led by Pastor Bong Fondong of the Church of Christ in Nations, Kolsin, was killed in the attack on the church premises in Ganawuri, Riyam County, Plateau State. One area resident identified as Danjembango Gang told Morning Star that gunmen believed to be Fulani terrorists attacked Ganawuri and abducted Reverend Bong Fondong alongside James Mann, who later escaped from the hands of the kidnappers. Eyewitness account claims the gunmen stormed the regional council chairman's residence at about 10 p.m. and shot and wounded the pastor's wife and killed one James Nyang, a member of the church and security church worker, before they forcefully took away the pastor at gunpoint. The following day, the gunmen contacted the pastor's family and demanded 20 million naira for his release. Meanwhile, Yang's body was buried on that day. Police confirmed the kidnapping of Pastor Dong and said they were in operation to track the kidnappers and release the hostage. In the United Kingdom, a Christian chaplain who was fired for preaching a sermon on identity politics in a Church of England school 3 years ago has taken legal action against his former employer. His case is being argued in front of an employment tribunal for the next several weeks. Represented by the Christian Legal Center, Reverend Dr. Bernard Randall is taking Trent College to court for discrimination, harassment, victimization, and unfair dismissal after the school reported him without his knowledge to the government anti-terror watchdog for the 2018 sermon. 49-year-old Randall from Derbyshire was ordained by the Church of England in 2006 and had been employed by the school for 4 years until he was dismissed in 2019. He told the East Midlands Employment Tribunal that the school had shown absolutely no regard for the concern he had for those upset or confused by the implementation of Educate and Celebrate, a charity that provides training to embed gender identity, and sexual orientation into the fabric of the organizations. According to the Daily Mail, Randall told the tribunal in a written statement that it was clear that the charity's stated objective was to promote LGBT plus inclusion in schools. However, he said Educate and Celebrate went beyond a natural stance of inclusivity into the active promotion of ideas which he believed amounted to identity politics. He also claimed much of ENC's program appeared to him to be contrary to Christian teaching, while adding that when one child asked him, "How come we are told we have to accept all this LGBT stuff in Christian school?" he decided to respond by carefully writing an explanatory, moderate sermon giving the Christian viewpoint and emphasizing the importance of respecting those with whom we disagree. However, within weeks of presenting the sermon, the school told Randall he had violated the school's LGBT agenda. He was first told that the school contended that gender identity was a protected characteristic. Second, they claimed that psychology textbooks say there are 3 genders, but the real problem, according to school officials, was not what Randall had said, but how the sermon made people feel. During his disciplinary meeting, Randall was given notes that showed he had been reported to prevent the UK government's counter-terrorism watchdog as a religious extremist. He was later told the watchdog had returned the school's report, declining to investigate. Stay with us for a short break. Listen to this announcement. Ilorin House is inviting you for a healing and deliverance hour every first Wednesday of the month, 5 p.m. You can join physically at Ilorin House Fellowship, Rehoboth College Hall, Pipeline Road, Ilorin, or you can connect online via Zoom. Zoom ID is 816-1321-8520, 816-1321-8520. Passcode is 111503, 111503. Please use the same login details every month. You can also follow Ilorin House on Facebook, and you can subscribe to Ilorin Fellowship on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Welcome back. CBN News reported that a 2022 graduate of the Autonomous University of Baja, California, UABC, Mexico, could lose his license to practice psychology for what he said during his graduation speech. Even though Christian Cortez Perez's comments were made in an academic setting, a group made up of faculty members has called on the university to silence and sanction Perez, labeling the content of his graduation address as hate speech, according to ADF International, a faith-based legal advocacy organization. At the top of his class at the University School of Medicine and Psychology, Perez earned the right to deliver the commencement address at his graduation ceremony on June 27th. In his speech, he voiced his deeply held moral convictions regarding the state of the world today on many issues, including the importance of the family and the sanctity of life. During his address, Perez called for the rejection of the redefinition of the family and radical gender ideology. In his words, today we are deep into a real anthropological struggle to redefine the human being, the human person, man, through the implementation of ideologies and fashions of thought that always ends up undermining dignity and freedom. Perez also quoted G.K. Chesterton on the destruction of the family, quote, People do not know what they are doing because they do not know what they are undoing. According to the ADF, attempts have been made to silence and sanction the psychology graduate. A group made up of members of the university's faculty issued a manifesto calling on the university to sanction Perez's so-called hate speech by 1. Withholding his academic degree and professional license, 2. Withdrawing his merit award, and 3. Alerting psychology associations across Mexico regarding his actions. In essence, the group's demands would ban Perez from professional practice as a psychologist in Mexico. Their list of demands was presented to the University Council. Perez was told on August 4th that the school has initiated proceedings against him. He has submitted a counterclaim to protect his rightful interests. The university's final decision is expected in mid-September, according to the ADF. ADF International Attorney Christina Hegel-Karen said, if the campaign to punish Christians is successful, it shows that anyone who dares to speak in public in Mexico is in danger. This is a clear violation of international human rights law, reminiscent of dictatorships and not democracies. On the entertainment bit, Cartoon Brew reported how Louisiana Congressional Representative Mike Johnson decried that FX Networks aired a commercial for Disney's animated series Little Demon during the second quarter of a Louisiana State University football game. Johnson made this known in a Facebook post where he says he was floored by the trailer for the show and claims, quote, I couldn't get to the remote fast enough to shield my 11-year-old from the preview, and I wonder how many other children were exposed to it and how many millions more will tune in to the new series owned and marketed by Disney. After posting the show's official synopsis and several quotes from the show's voice actors about paganism and anti-Christian sentiment, he continued, I could write volumes this morning and unpack pages of Bible verses here, but instead, I'm just going to state the obvious. Please be careful. Our job as parents is to guard the hearts and minds of our kids. This culture has become alarmingly dark and desensitized, and this is not a game. Disney and FX Networks have decided to embrace and market what is clearly evil. Stay far from it. End of quote. In our previous edition, we told you how Disney's Little Demon has garnered backlash because of its storyline that sells paganism to underage children. This interview with Little Demon's cast will help you understand why you shouldn't let your kids near this series. Watch.
I love that we are normalizing paganism. Laura is a pagan. She's a witch. She's jacked. She's got to protect her daughter from demons, and she's got to get her house in order. I just love, being a single mom is really tough, especially when monsters and goblins are knocking at your door and trying to kill your daughter pretty much every day. So I think it's just really fun. The adrenaline, the stakes are really high, and man, I just can't get enough of it.
In a follow-up post, Congressman Johnson added that, quote, free speech is an important principle, and in this country, everyone can obviously make their own decisions about what media they and their families consume. But a corollary is that Christians have the freedom to fulfill our obligation to speak the truth in love, citing Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15, and sometimes, most importantly, when it may not be popular. Cartoons Brew wrote that it is worth noting that Johnson's only call to action was directed at parents to monitor what kind of content the children are exposed to, and not a call for government intervention. Stay with us for this very short announcement. Laring House Fellowship is inviting you for a monthly discipleship program every second Wednesday of the month. Time is 5 p.m. Venue is Laring House Fellowship, Rehoboth College Hall, Pipeline Road, Ilorin. You can connect online via Zoom. Zoom ID is 870-5232-9212. 870-5232-9212. 9212. Passcode is 088114. 088114. Please use the same login details every month. Follow Learning House on Facebook, subscribe to Learning Fellowship on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. On a brighter note, CBN News reported that Life Mark, a new pro-life movie produced by Cameron and the Kendrick brothers, hit over $2 million in sales on opening weekend and marked Fatham's highest grossing event this year. The film from the Kendrick brothers, Cameron Entertainment and Fatham Events, opened Friday night for Fatham's first ever 7-day premiere run in 1,500 locations. Fatham told CBN News that they are looking to expand the film's offerings. Reynard, CEO of Fatham's event, told CBN News that they were thrilled at the numbers they were seeing for Life Mark this past weekend. They not only represent a big success for Fatham, the Kendrick brothers and Cameron Entertainment, but they also go to show the value that faith-based content brings to both theater owners and moviegoers alike. Life Mark is an adaptation of an inspirational true story where a young man's life is turned upside down when his birth mother unexpectedly reaches out to him. The 18-year-old sets out on an incredible journey of discovery that leads to a staggering truth from his past. Executive producer Stephen Kendrick believes the story will cause Christians to ponder more deeply as they confront abortion and live out the gospel. And that will be all for this edition of the SWBN News Watch. Thank you so much for staying with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe till we meet next Thursday, 9 p.m. I remain Chimala Chiki. Stay tuned.